3 decades ago, a public-private partnership took shape called Rochester Area Economic Development Incorporated.
30 years ago is a long time. Been a lot of projects between now and then.
And through the years, whether directly involved or playing a supportive role, RAEDI has helped chart a course for the area's economic growth.
At that time, I think the operating budget at that time probably was under $200,000 a year, if you can imagine that, running an organization on that today.
RAEDI was a very young organization, and in 1989 added President Gary Smith.
I can remember the very first project that I worked on when I was here was expansion of the ice cream plant here at Kemp's.
Projects and expansions including Rochester Medical breaking ground in Stewartville, the Schmidt Printing expansion in Byron, and DeMeo Engineering opening their doors. RAEDI was also focused on improving processes to fund startups and expansions.
One of the very first programs we did establish back 30 years ago was the 504 Fixed Asset Lending Program.
The program was designed to finance long-term assets with below-market fixed-rate loans. Through the years, the 504 program has assisted over 300 businesses with $175 million in total investment and created over 2,200 jobs. RAEDI ushered in the 1990s, and the decade was off to a turbulent start.
That's when IBM announced its intentions to close down its AdStar division here, and that was about 2,500 jobs that were ultimately transferred out of the community.
The loss was a tremendous hit for families, but something else happened. With a rich talent pool, companies from across the country noticed.
Companies came in here like Seagate, Texas Instrument. Those companies actually located operations here in the Rochester area.
And some companies were homegrown, determined to keep some of the top talent in the country in our backyard.
Our first introduction to RAEDI was almost 25 years ago when we were starting PEMSTAR.
In 1994, PEMSTAR was created, a manufacturing firm that designed electronics and devices.
RAEDI helped PEMSTAR stay in Rochester, Minnesota. And from them staying here, we were able to secure their building contracts.
Having the right capital structure and knowing where to find it was imperative to the PEMSTAR startup.
RAEDI was really the key in orchestrating that. Since we weren't familiar with all of what was available, being able to access it directly and immediately through RAEDI was instrumental.
By 1997, PEMSTAR grew to be one of the area's largest employers with approximately 750 employees.
When it comes to technology, and I think that's true today, is that if you aren't having some churn in that sector of your economy, there's nothing happening in that sector of the economy.
There was plenty of churn throughout the technology sector in the 90s and early 2000s. Celestica opened and closed its doors. Western Digital doubled in size in the late 90s, and PEMSTAR was acquired by Benchmark in 2006. RAEDI continued its focus on diversifying and expanding the economy, assisting a number of local companies with the new Job Z program, including Pace International, a third-generation business located in Rochester.
In 2004, 2005, my dad, who's the owner of Pace, wanted to expand. So he had read in the newspaper about Job Z and didn't really know anything about it, so he went to RAEDI.
RAEDI assisted Pace in applying for and receiving Job Z benefits, which grew their staff and allowed them to move to their current location.
I mean, we've literally tripled our workforce and basically doubled our sales since we came out to this building, and a lot of it's thanks to RAEDI.
And Pace is in the middle of another expansion to be completed in 2018, again with the help of RAEDI.
It's been fun to see this transition from Rochester being more computer and hardware technology now to more certainly med tech and biotech. And RAEDI has been able to kind of make that shift.
Deb Sutherland was working at IBM when she joined the RAEDI Board of Directors in 2005. At the time, Deb was collaborating with Mayo on opportunities in the life science field.
RAEDI was also investigating what are the broader opportunities for southeastern Minnesota for economic development, looking at the emerging life sciences space.
Seeing the need to further explore and support advancements in this sector, in 2007, construction began on the Minnesota Biobusiness Center.
With the Mayo Clinic, IBM, and now the University of Minnesota all in the same place, Rochester has great selling points.
There's only one place in the world you can have close physical presence and literally be within footsteps of those entities. That's in Rochester, Minnesota.
The Minnesota Biobusiness Center was truly a collaboration between RAEDI, the City of Rochester, and certainly Mayo Clinic. Tens of millions of dollars of economic output are coming from a lot of the work that happens within the Minnesota Bio Business Center.
And located on the second floor of the Minnesota Bio Business Center is the Mayo Clinic Business Accelerator. Since opening its doors 5 years ago, the accelerator has been home to 46 startups, graduated 6 of those companies, created over 70 jobs, and generated $35 million in funds.
We are here in the accelerator now, and it's critical. So one of the key questions is, okay, we start up an entrepreneurial activity, where do you work? Some of the pragmatic day-to-day types of things are solved by having this accelerator.
It's fair to say that there's more activity, more entrepreneurial activity and energy now than it was a few years ago. And I think the accelerator has played a good part of it.
RAEDI continued to explore further funding opportunities, and in 2012, a $5 million economic development fund was established with sales tax dollars used to assist business expansion in Rochester.
We have entrepreneurs, new business startups coming and asking for funds that are available to us through the Economic Development Fund that was granted through the sales tax money.
The funds are vetted through an executive committee before board approval.
We review loan applications from new startup businesses and make recommendations to the full RAEDI board about whether or not to approve those loans.
The fund was structured to be mindful of the region as well.
Those dollars were matched by another $5 million that went to area communities around Rochester to do economic development projects.
And of the $1.5 million that we've invested in startup companies, they've magnified that into about $64 million worth of outside investment. So that's tremendous return.
Clearly, as evidenced by the activity and the loan activity that's being taken place, we have diversity in our entrepreneurial ecosystem, and that's a good thing for the future.
The end of 2014 kicked off Journey to Growth.
Journey to Growth is a 5-year strategy to grow and diversify the economy in this area. Now, you may be wondering, isn't that similar to what DMC is going to accomplish? Though separate, this initiative is intended to complement the efforts of Destination Medical Center.
Journey to Growth Chair John Wade says their focus is not just helping Rochester grow, but to help supporting towns grow right along with it.
You can't have a strong Rochester without a great neighborhood. And we have to pay a lot of attention to all of our neighbors, because without them and the 50,000 people a day that come into the city of Rochester to work, none of this would be possible.
Collaboration with regional partners such as Community Economic Development Associates, DEED, Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, and more have resulted in over 40 projects and endorsed initiatives throughout the region. Journey to Growth recently held its 8th public meeting in Chatfield, making major announcements including the Name Our Region contest and the creation of the Southern Minnesota Diversification Fund. In 2017, after collaboration between RAEDI and the Journey to Growth Partnership, a new angel fund was created called the Southeast Minnesota Capital Fund.
Southeast Minnesota Capital Fund is a private, what we call an angel fund. It's risk capital, it's for equity, it's for new business startups.
Getting that early seed money and having a steady source of it is very important.
The fund is expected to reach $1.5 million by second quarter of 2018.
We're very fortunate that we have a number of people who are willing to risk their own personal capital to help businesses get formed here and grow and prosper.
The Southeast Minnesota Capital Fund made its first investment in Sonics Health, a recent Mayo Clinic Accelerator graduate.
This is one of the key benefits that I've seen over the past probably 5 to 7 years, is how RAEDI has contributed to expanding that investment community such that it would support more entrepreneurial activities.
Throughout the years, RAEDI and its partners have continued to explore and create funding streams for startups and expansions. The 504 Corporation, the Economic Development Fund, Southeast Minnesota Capital Fund, and the Southern Minnesota Diversification Fund.
They use their funds very, very wisely. They don't always say a lot about the work they do, but literally thousands of jobs are here today that were not here when I first became associated with RAEDI.
Whether through financial programs, business planning, site selection and location support, or business and community advocacy, RAEDI will continue to assist with the building of social and economic diversity.
And you look at the number of businesses that have expanded and jobs created, as well as the visibility of what a great place this is to bring new business opportunities. It wouldn't have occurred without RAEDI.
A lot of small businesses don't have the ability to know who to talk to at the city or who to talk to at the county or the state. And you can go to someone like RAEDI and they can say, well, talk to this person, or hey, did you know this grant is available, or this funding is available.
I'm in the construction business, so growth to me is important. Economically, it's important for the vitality of the community.
And keeping an eye on the larger community, the region that RAEDI serves is equally important and necessary to our economic growth and prosperity.
When we think of the Rochester area, it's not just Rochester, it's every community around Rochester, 35, 40 miles. We share the same labor market.
We know that we have to continue to make sizable and smart investments, not only in Rochester, but well beyond our city limits.
In my role at People's Energy Cooperative, we provide power in the smaller towns and rural areas around Rochester. And the growth opportunities that RAEDI helps bring to those communities are so important to our business and to all the members of our cooperative.
We've got tremendous assets to bring to the table. I see RAEDI's role as being able to tell that story, bring all the players together so that we continue to land the opportunities that we need to.